Okay. Right. We're going to start with Emma from Sky.
Hi Roy.
Emma.
I know you said the players were a bit deflated after the result last weekend. How have they been this week? What's the movement like?
No, I've been good. I mean, it's nothing like getting back to training in good conditions like we've had this week to get a smile back on people's faces. It's disappointments, unfortunately, a part and parcel of our football life. And, you know, it's sometimes a bit harder to take when you think the team has played well and you've lost. It's sometimes easier when you've played badly and there's lots of things you've seen gone wrong and you're looking forward to correcting. But the training's been good this week, and I think our preparation for the game on tomorrow has been as good as it can possibly be. So let's see what the outcome of that game is going to be.
And how's great of him? Because I know you said he apologised after the game, he had nothing to be sorry about. How's he been this week?
No, and that's what we've said to him again. No, he's been very good. I mean, goalkeepers, unfortunately, they're in that position, aren't they, at the cutting edge of football. You know, everyone can see the error the goalkeeper makes. Everyone can see the error the centre forward makes when he misses a goal chance. There's a lot of people in between who make quite a few mistakes, but they get away with it because a goal doesn't come about because of it, and everyone then forgets it in the maelstrom of the game. So we made it perfectly clear to him, the whole club, really, that listen, you know, mistakes happen. It's good you hold your hand up and admit that the mistake is yours. But the fact is, we're not concerned about that because you've done so many good things for us, and we are where we are in the league largely thanks to some of your performances. So you just have to forget about it like we forget about it.
And is there any updated injury news ahead of this weekend?
Well, we've lost Martin Kelly, which is a blow. Unfortunately, in the it's not really a warm down, in the little bit of training that players sometimes do after a game when they've not taken any part as substitutes. He managed to pick up a slight calf strain. It's not a massive calf strain, but it's enough, unfortunately, to keep him out of this week's game. But otherwise, we just have the same injuries that we had before. Cenk Tosun is injured but can't play anyway. And Mamadou Sakho and Jeffrey Schlupp are continuing on their recovery.
And Everton tomorrow, the team in pretty good form at the moment, came back from 2 goals down last weekend. Are you expecting them to be full of confidence tomorrow? Absolutely.
Their record in the last 10 games, I think, has been quite exceptional, and Carlo's obviously done very well since he came into the club and has generated a lot of positivity, and the players are obviously full of confidence, which good results bring with it. So we understand it's going to be a tough game. It always is, to be fair, at Goodison Park. I don't care who the manager is or what 11 players they put on the field. It's always a difficult game up there. But we're ready for that, we're prepared for that. It's part of our Premier League season, so bring the game on and let's hope it's a good one.
And you mentioned Carlo Ancelotti there, obviously a manager you know well from your times in Italy and from him being in the Premier League before. Have you spoken to him since he's come back over, and what do you make of the job that he's done so far?
I regard him as a friend, and I've known him for a very long time. You're quite right, even from the days when he was working with Arrigo Sacchi and the national team. So I'm not surprised that it's gone well. I think it was a clever appointment. Someone with his experience, someone with his talent as a coach, obviously is going to succeed wherever he goes. And Everton decided it was the right moment to bring him on board, and they've been amply rewarded for that by the results and by the way that the players have responded to him. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, that's for sure. But of course, when the game starts, I might be wishing I wasn't seeing him.
It was announced yesterday that the summer deadline will be moving back in line with the rest of Europe to move into the 1st of September. Just your reaction to that?
Yeah, very positive. I think that there was no real reason in that I could relate to in changing that and coming out of line. There's always arguments, for everything that's put forward, and I know there was a valid argument put forward, but I didn't really buy into it, so I'm quite happy to see it now back where it once was, and to see us in line with Europe again.
And I suppose before we look too far ahead, your future has been talked about quite a bit this week. Have there been discussions? Are you any closer to an extension here?
Well, the fact is the chairman and I had very positive discussions during the week, so I have no reason to doubt that the intention of the club is still as it always was to ask me to stay and prolong my contract. So I shall no doubt be having further discussions in the coming days, and we'll see where that leads to. But there's certainly, the thing when you're a manager, you sometimes have to read other people's opinions of how you feel and what you're thinking. I prefer really, if I'm going to be involved in those type of comments and to do interviews with journalists and to speak to them and to tell them what I'm thinking. It was a little bit irritating to find other people telling you what you're thinking and telling you what you think. But I understand it's part and parcel of being a football manager and part and parcel of your professions. But I certainly have never made any sort of comments which could in any way be related to some of the things which I believe have been suggested or written. I said last week, before the game against Sheffield United, that as far as I was concerned, there was no reason to doubt that the club's intention to want me to stay should be doubted in any way, and I still don't feel that should be doubted in any way. And when it comes to transfers and transfer windows, yes, the last one was a bit disappointing, not least of all because we thought we were well on the way possibly to acquiring the signature of a young right back, Ferguson, that we think is a good player. But of course that fell through because of the fact that he needs an operation. So had that happened, it would have been a lot more positive anyway. And secondly, there's no difference of opinion about what needs to be done. It's just a question of finding a way really to get the right players and get their signatures and get them into the building, and that's a lot harder. It's very easy to talk about targets and talk about recruitment. It's a lot harder to find the players that you really need, that are the right ones for your club, and get them through the door. And that's something which affects us all. It's not me versus anybody. We're all in that together, and we're all in the process together of trying to find those players, trying to add to the squad, but to add to it in a way which will make us a stronger unit.
Okay, and just lastly from me, a bit of a gear change, but Lionel Messi could be available for free in the summer. Had a public bust-up with Eric Abidal. Right. Could you ever see him in the Premier League?
I thought you were going to ask him if could see me at Crystal Palace for a minute. I was preparing a different answer. You could see Lionel Messi anywhere, couldn't you? I mean, I just get the feeling though that Lionel Messi has been such a fantastic iconic player and figure for Barcelona Football Club that it would surprise me a little bit if at this late stage of his career that he was to leave and seek fresh pastures. But you should never be surprised about anything in football, so when I say I'd be surprised, I probably wouldn't, because nothing really surprises you in that respect. But if I was a Barcelona fan or connected in a way with the club, I would be working very hard to try and persuade Lionel Messi that this is the place where you end your career, and I'm pretty sure that when his playing career ends, he'll be still connected with the club in some way, because he's such a Barcelona and Lionel Messi, they just go together, don't they?
Thank you.
Okay, Joe from PLP.
Hi. Carlo Ancelotti has been described as very calm, especially coming in with the job he had ahead of him. How would you compare that with the way you're feeling at the moment?
In what respect calm? Sorry, how aren't I always calm?
He's been described as coming in knowing the task he has ahead and just doing it with a very calm approach, and that seems to be working with the players. I just wondered, given that their team's having a good run, you guys are having a slightly slower last few games, how that might compare with how you're feeling?
Well, I'm pretty sure that, the calmness that you feel is always tends to disappear anyway the day before a game, because then you anticipate all the things that can happen and go wrong in the game. So I don't think he'll be feeling particularly calmer than I feel. I believe that we've done our work this week and we've prepared the team properly to play the game, and that the team I have is capable of going to Everton and getting a result. And I'm absolutely sure that he feels the same way about his team, and you could argue that he's got more reason than I have, because you rightly say we've lost the last 2 games and they're on a fantastic winning streak. But we all know in football that winning streaks come to an end and losing streaks too. So it's only 2 games. Before that we had a good run of unbeaten in actual fact, so we haven't lost confidence in that. But I'm expecting to go and meet a very confident Everton team tomorrow, backed up by incredible support and with a manager who really believes that the work he's doing is paying dividends and the work he's doing will lead his team to another victory, and it's our job to stop that.
Are you worried about the lack of goals at the moment from Palace, and can you pinpoint why that's a problem at the moment?
Well, it's been a problem all season. Obviously, I don't think that we can deny the fact that the number of goals we scored is nowhere near what we would like it to be. Luckily, we've backed that up with a fairly good defensive record, so our goal difference isn't ludicrous and our points total isn't ludicrous. But of course, we'd like to score more goals, but I still believe personally that with the three front players that we're playing in the games, Wilf Zaha, Christian Benteke now, or Tosun just before he got injured, and Jordan Ayew, I think they are three very good attacking players, and I don't think I need to be terribly concerned that if we're not scoring in the last couple of games, that will go on forever, because there are goals in the team, and it's just a question, I suppose, really, of breaking that duck which we've had in the last two games.
Everton have lost 50% of their home games this season, and Palace have obviously been doing very well away from home. So does that add maybe a little more spice perhaps to this game, make it more interesting and open?
Not for me, no. I mean, the spice in the game is the spice in the game. It's the same sort of spice in the game I feel every weekend before every Premiership game. So I don't feel anything extra in that respect. But these are the sort of figures and these are the sort of statistics which do interest people and certainly can add spice to the sort of spectators' view of the game that's coming up. But I think when you're managing and coaching, you don't tend to think along those terms. You just tend to think in terms of, well, what team am I able to put out onto the field this week? How are they looking? Are they prepared? Do we look as though we're in the sort of form that can cause problems to our opponent? And we tend not to see things in that statistical way.
Thank you. James from Talksport.
Roy, Wilfried Zaha was saying this week that he feels that you're not far away from getting that win, and it's only fine margins preventing Palace from getting over the line. Is that how you feel as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games to go, isn't there? And we need points from some of those games, and I'm convinced we'll get them, absolutely. And it's nice to hear Wilf saying that too. You've got to be careful. The game against Southampton, we understood really why that one didn't go our way, because it came after the Man City game, after a run of very, very tough games with very many players injured, and we really dragged every ounce out of every muscle and sinew of the players who were able to play. It was more disappointing on Saturday to lose another game at home, but there's reasons there for that too, and that there was a very, very great difference between the two performances. Against Southampton, we really didn't play well, and we had to hold our hands up and say that was a game that we probably deserved to lose. I think most of us on Saturday against Sheffield United felt that we were a little bit unlucky, and it was a game we could so easily have won. So I think we'll take confidence from our good performance against Sheffield United, the way we played. It was certainly a step back towards some of the good performance we've had earlier in the season in terms of our possession, in terms of the way we went forward, even in terms of the way we defended. So, you've got to be very careful. Statistics, they can weigh heavily upon you, but who was it who said there are lies, damn lies and statistics? I never quite know who made that quote, but it's always very relevant for me, and you have to be very careful before you start yourself believing too much in what a statistic tells you, and forget maybe what your eyes are telling you, what your feelings are, what you're seeing in the training sessions. All of those things I think are very important. We talked about Carlo Ancelotti and his calmness and his experience, and I'm pretty certain that is something that comes to you through the years as well, that you don't dismiss facts and statistics, you take them on board, but you don't necessarily base all your decisions upon them, because there could be some underlying factors which are every bit as important as that particular statistic.
James McCarthy plays against Everton at Goodison Park for the first time since he left the club. He's played a lot for you in recent weeks. Just how impressed have you been by him so far in a Palace shirt? Yeah,
he's been good. He's getting better and better as well. We're quite blessed in that area. We have four very good central midfield players certainly who've rotated during the season, and there's one or two others, people like Max Mayer and Jaido Videralt, who are knocking on the door waiting for their opportunity too. So we're not weak in that area of the field. We're quite blessed, and it's really good to see James McCarthy, who came to us after quite a long absence really. His fitness had been re-established at Everton, but of course he wasn't able to break into the team and was spending long periods on the outside looking in. He had to do that for a week or two, or a month or two, even perhaps when he came here too. But it's nice since he's broken into the team to see his confidence growing, and we are now beginning to see the player that I always knew he was, and the player that I actually persuaded the club to buy, because I knew that, you know, in James McCarthy we were getting a top-class Premiership football player.
Just finally, I know you haven't signed a contract yet, but are you already planning for the future here at Palace in terms of decisions behind the scenes, in terms of investment and ideas and things you want to get in place for next season?
Yeah, there's been no difference there at all. You know, my relationship with the chairman and with Doug Friedman remains exactly as it has been, and certainly there's been no question of me not wishing to involve myself in any discussions regarding the current state of the team, but also, you know, going forward. And there's a great degree also of unanimity between us in terms of what we need to do. Getting those things done is not always so easy as agreeing what needs to be done, but it's a start. It's a start when you've got unanimity in terms of approach, unanimity in terms of what needs to be done. And it will mean, of course, that between now and the end of the season, a lot of work will have to be done by everybody to make certain that if we're going to achieve our goals, if we're going to be able to make changes in the summer and improve our squad and, you know, make the necessary rejuvenation to some extent that's necessary as well, a lot of work's going to have to be done, and that will start, I'm pretty certain, now that the transfer window is over, because transfer windows, unfortunately, they weigh heavily on everybody, not least of all chairmen, who are fighting off phone calls every day from agents in particular, or journalists like yourself wanting to know what's going on. And also, of course, all clubs and chairmen are being put under extra pressure these days, because we've created a new table. You know, we've got the league table, but then we've got the money spending table, and we're constantly being reminded where you happen to find yourself on the money spending table. And the suggestion is, well, if this team is spending more than you, they're doing better than you are. We all know that that's not necessarily or strictly true, but it's a fact that everyone has to live with, and not least of all, the people who have to live with that are the people who are in charge of clubs, because the clamour from the outside will be, well, how come this team are above you on the table in the table on their spending?
Thank you.
Okay.